How's it going, guys? This is the King Splooge speaking. So I want to go over what most competitive players are doing to get an edge, which is really necessary, because when in the competitive scene, everyone wants to be the best. Everyone wants to get the slight edge, the slight advantage to win. So with that being said, most competitive players are playing with their settings on low. And you're like, what? Playing on low? You buy these like super nice graphics cards, GTX 780s, TIs, whatever. Who knows when you're watching this? Whatever they got next, and it's like, why would I play on low? I bought this graphics card to play on high and see all the beautifulness. Well, that's cool if you want to like treat it like a movie and just enjoy it, enjoy the beauty like it's some beautiful MMO. I don't know, but for those of us who want to get an edge and take advantage of the performance of the game, we're going to put everything on low, and I'm going to explain why. Starting at texture quality. Texture quality is the detail of every texture of every object in the game. So by limiting this to low, you're taking a lot of complexity out of objects. So what's going to end up happening is that your eye is going to be able to see enemies better in general, because there's going to be less textures blending in with it. It's just dumbing down the game, so to speak.
Hey, wake up.
So you got... Oh, someone's... whatever. Lighting quality has to do with shadows. Turning this on low is going to limit shadows in the game that tend to hide you in dark areas, or, not you, but other players. So you come around a corner, say someone's hiding in a corner, having that on low is going to really bring them out of the background, right? Effects quality, most players should understand, even players that are new to the game should understand, by turning this on low will allow you to see through explosions and see through grenades and see through any type of debris, right? Because you don't want debris falling in your way and missing an enemy behind it, or him being able to see you and shoot you, right? So you want to turn that on low. Also, turning effects quality down will give you a major increase in FPS. The number one FPS killer besides anti-aliasing is effects. If you notice, when an explosion goes off, it really limits your frames. I mean, we're talking like 30, 40 frames. It's gonna drop. So, gotta have that on low. Post processing has a lot to do with kind of anti-aliasing along the lines of edges. But what I have noticed with disabling post processing, it allows me to see enemies' edge a little bit better. They kind of stick out, from edge to edge, from foreground object to background object. Post processing will help them stick out more. Mesh quality, I recommend to leave that on ultra. That's the only thing I recommend to leave on ultra. It's basically at distance, knowing how true to shape an object is. So say someone's head glitching like really far away on Operation Locker in the mountains. Putting this on ultra is going to give you more accurate perspective of where their head is and where the aim is, right? On the other side of that, mesh quality, putting this on low will give you an advantage in spotting, because putting this on low tends to unhide a lot of players behind objects as boxes, small rocks, because they don't render in the same depth. So that's kind of a cool thing to play around with. I recommend leaving this on ultra, but if you want to kind of get that spotting advantage, you can turn that off. Terrain quality is the three-dimensional detail of grass and trees and shrubs. Terrain decoration is kind of the amount of trees and shrubs is placed. So obviously, if you can limit that amount, it's going to further allow you to get an advantage over seeing someone, say on like a map like Zavod, like that's really going to give you an advantage if someone's in a bush or in a tree. Anti-aliasing deferred is basically the way the game is blending the jaggedy pixels on edges. Turn that on off unless you have like 3 GTX 780s and you're on playing like one 1080p monitor. That'll really allow you to get 200 frames a second. Otherwise, play with it on off. The majority of us don't have that. I have a 780 Ti and I play on off. And I'll explain why you want 200 frames in a second. So anti-aliasing post, turn that on off. It's a complement of anti-aliasing deferred. Ambient occlusion is along the lines of lighting quality. It's shadows and the way light is bounced in the game. Turn that on off. Same idea. So with that being said, I have a pre-made config file that already has all these settings done and then tweaked even more. The game's got a not a config, it's a save. It's just a game save. So like every game, all your settings are saved. So if we go to Documents, Battlefield 4, Settings, you have this file called prosave_profile. This is the way the game saves whenever you make a change. So if you go into your graphics options in the game and you make a change to a graphics setting and apply it, it's going to make the change right here. So this is just basically a large text file that has all the settings in the game, all the settings in detail numerically, the way the game understands it. But the cool thing of this little file here, which is completely legit, this is what all the competitive players do. If you notice, there's nothing fancy about it. I mean, it says GST render post-processing quality 0, right? This is the same thing as going into the main menu and putting this on low, okay? The cool thing about the profile save, it's got a lot more details. Like it's got more options to tweak. So if you're the technical person, you can go into this profile, whatever it's called, go into it, Google these terms, and see what they do, and then tweak them how you want them. I've taken the time to research these on my own to get all of them to a competitive advantage, to get them to a point that gives me a competitive advantage. For example, there is a, I forget where it's at in here. Oh, for example, right here you have inputs, shoulder sensitivity, long range, shoulder sensitivity, medium range, shoulder sensitivity, close range. I think that's what it says. Those are cool. Like you don't have those in the main options. Basically, it would allow you to say if you have a scope on a weapon and you have, it pertains to long range. I think it's like over 6 or I think it's over 4 times. Basically, you could make the sensitivity less and not change your regular sensitivity. So it's cool because, you know, at closer ranges, you need that faster sensitivity to kind of keep up with objects moving quicker. But at long ranges, you want to be really steady, right? So instead of going in and changing from your in-game sensitivity when you snipe, you could come to this config and tweak this to your liking, right? So these are just kind of some examples of what you can do. So I went through and changed everything to give me a competitive advantage to my liking, okay? I have moved the mini-map to the center of the screen instead of being all the way in the left-hand corner, so that way I can visualize it faster. When I'm in a competitive situation, 5v5 domination, I want to be able to see red enemies popping up. You know, I don't want to have to look at it, and then get shot because I'm not looking in the center of my screen. So it just makes it a little bit faster for you. So if you're the type that wants to tweak this, have at it. That's where it's at. Google's your best friend. If you're not, if you want to just get this in, trust the master. Download mine. I'll post the link. And what you're going to do is you're going to go to this location, library, documents, Battlefield 4 settings. Back yours up so you have one for reference. Just create a copy of it, back it up someplace, and then overwrite yours with mine. Or you can delete yours and put mine in, whatever works. As long as you have mine in this folder, you should be good to go. One thing I forgot to mention is once you have my profile save in there, you won't have to touch your graphic settings. They're already optimized to the perfect fullest extent. Just leave them the way they are. I have, there's another cool setting, not a setting, but a config file that some players play around with, some players don't. It doesn't give you an extreme advantage or anything, you know. None of these give you a real extreme advantage for that matter. They just give you a slight edge. But if you go to your program files 86, Origin Games, wherever you installed Battlefield, it's where it will be located. You'll notice I have a user.cfg file here. By default, this file is not here. CFG stands for config. If I go into it to show you what it is, nothing's fancy. I've disabled some extra shadows. I've disabled motion blur. Um, that is very interesting. I need to delete this. Why do I have this value in here? I have like two things contradicting each other. I have motion blur enable 0, which means it's off. Motion blur force on, which is off. Maybe that's force off. Maybe that's what that stands for. I don't know. I'll leave it. It's not. I haven't. It's not going to kill me to leave this. We'll see what happens. I'll change it later if I feel like it makes a difference. Fix shutter time. I don't even need that value because I don't have motion blur. Blur max, blur quality. You can leave those, delete them, we'll do whatever you want. I'm just going to delete them for now. Shadow map resolution is basically like the complexity of the shadow map. Basically, turning this down will allow me to see enemies a little bit easier in darker areas. I mean, it's just making the shadows a little less. They're kind of self-explanatory. You can Google these if you want more exact definitions. But what you're going to do is you're going to copy mine. I'll paste it. You're going to copy it, and then you're going to go to this folder here, and you're going to make a new text document, and you can just leave it default. You're going to paste those settings. You're going to save it, like I just did there. Then you're going to go to it, and you're going to click rename, and you're going to delete everything, even the dot text. Every single thing. And then you're going to type user dot cfg. And once you save that, you will have a user CFG folder like me. Restart your game, come back in. Everything's going to look a lot different, but it's going to feel extremely smooth. It's going to blow your mind how smooth the game feels and how much easier it is to aim and compensate for recoil. So that's the tweaks for today. I will see you guys next time.